Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel, your go-to destination for unraveling the mysteries of cutting-edge technologies on Google Cloud. I am Mustafa, and today we will continue our journey into networking for secure database connectivity under enterprise database migration. Terraform typically enables you to safely and predictably create, change, and improve infrastructure. Terraform is an open source tool that codifies APIs into declarative configuration files that can be shared among team members and treated as code. It can be edited, reviewed, and also versioned. Terraform was developed by the HashiCorp organization. To learn more about Terraform, I'll link a video above. In this hands-on session, we'll be using straightforward commands to set up Terraform to create client and server virtual machines on both public and private network, and then set up communications between them. So whether you're a beginner or a seasoned tech explorer, join us in this practical exploration of Terraform. Don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe, and ring that notification bell as we dive into the fascinating world of using Terraform to create clients and servers. Let's get started. As usual, we'll start our lab. We would launch the lab with the required credits. After that, we open our lab in an incognito window. Grab my password with me. Click on next. Paste my password here. Click on next. So here is my Google dashboard. And this is the home page of our dashboard. So we are good to go. An overview of this lab is that we are going to provision a Linux virtual machine in a private network to act as a database server. Thereafter, we would now create a virtual machine that will serve as a bastion host. The typical meaning of a bastion host is just a computer that is designed to withstand attacks. So it is like a dedicated server that allows authorized users to access a private network from an external network such as internet. So we'd use it as a bastion host to connect to the database server as an administrator. We'd also configure the database server for remote connections and add a user account. After that, we would install a MySQL-MariaDB client software to connect to the database server from a client machine. So that may look like some technical terms, but we'll break it into the following objectives. We'd create client and server virtual machines. After that, we would administer our database server. And finally, we would connect to the database from a client. So let's go over the setup and requirements and jump directly to task 1. So here we are. So under task 1, the first thing we'll do is we'll enable our identity aware proxy API. So we'll enable identity aware proxy API so that we can connect all the virtual machines created within this project without configuring SSH keys. So to do that, we use the Qwiklabs service enable the identity aware proxy iap.googleapi.com. So let's do that. So let's go to our Cloud Shell. So it's provisioning our Cloud Shell machine, and after that it will connect to our Cloud Shell instance. So it may take a while. I'll just fast forward this and see at the end. Here we are on our virtual machine. So we can just do some little house cleaning on our Cloud Shell rather. So we'll do the gcloud auth list to list the active project here. So authorize this. So this is our active account, and we can use the gcloud config project. So we'll also list the projects associated with this account. Yeah, so that's that. So let's paste the command that we copied here and click on enter so that we can enable the identity aware proxy. So it's enabling it for us and it has successfully enabled it. So the next thing we want to do is we want to clone a GitHub repository that include a completed version of the previous lab. So if you take a look at the previous lab under networking for secure database connectivity, we have shown how to create some of these resources using Terraform. But for today, we are majorly concerned about creating clients and servers. So we'll just grab the completed code from the previous lab and build on that. So let's clone the repo with our code. So we can clone the repo with our code. And it's going to clone this for us. So this may also take a while. Add fast forward and see at the end. Yeah, yes, so we've successfully cloned our repository here. And the next thing we can do is we can cd into the directory that we are majorly concerned about. So the directory we are majorly concerned about for this lab is the Terraform client server. So let's cd into that. Just cd into that from here. And another thing you can also do is that you can also view this repo online by clicking on this. You should be able to view this repo. And you can navigate towards the same folder that we are navigating into. So training, data analysis, courses, DB migration, and Terraform client server. So we have the courses here. Then let's look for DB migration. Then the Terraform client server. So this is all we have, and you can see the files. So this will be the same files we'll also see on our editor when we access it here. So that's regarding that. So let's view some of the files that are here using the ls command, and you can see the files that are in this directory. So the next thing we can do is let's keep following the instruction. So let's explore the files using the editor. So let's open our editor, and we'll open our editor in a new window. So it's configuring our editor for us. Let's open a folder, and the folder we want to open is this one. So let's just click on it. So we are opening the training data analyst folder here, and after that we'll navigate to the one exactly that we are going. So let's wait for the files here to get configured. And then courses. So the same way, we'll just navigate to what we are looking for. DB migration, then Terraform client servers. So this is majorly what we are interested in at the moment here, Terraform client server. So that's regarding that. So let's open the terraform.tf verse, which is the Terraform file that contains the variables that we are using. And you can see that this project ID is templated here. So we have to replace our project ID with the project ID for this our account. So we can grab our project ID from here and copy the project ID here. Cancel out of this. So we can go back to our terminals just using open terminal, since we have our editor on this side. So let's replace this. So this has been replaced with our project ID, and it's supposed to get saved for us automatically. So that's regarding that. So the next thing we are going to do is we'll then create a new file named virtual VM under VM-MySQL-server, and we'll paste this code into it. So what this code does is just a typical code to create a virtual machine using Terraform, and we are creating this in a private network. So we have some private networks here that we are just pointing this thing to. And one thing we can do is we can even take a look at some of the things that we have on this VPC network currently here. So let's explore our VPC network here. So it's only the default that is there, but we are going to create more VPC network when we actually run this Terraform code. So you see that when I run the Terraform code and I come back here, what we are pointing the VPC network in the code is going to get shown here. So that's regarding that. Let's just copy this command. This is the name of the file that we are creating. And another thing you can do is you can even create this file from the terminal. You can say, you can do a touch, then paste the name of the file here. So it's going to create this file in our editor. So if you go back to our editor now, you should see the new one that we've created, which is this VM MySQL server. And we can just copy this command here and paste it there. So let's paste it in. Then it's supposed to also get saved automatically. So the next thing we want to do is we would also create a new file named virtual machine MySQL client.tf. And what this is also doing is that we are creating a machine in the public network that we can use to administer that server. So this is also a similar virtual machine that we are creating, but we are using this one to administer the server that we would need. So this is, if you check the code here, it's similar to what is here, but here we are creating it in a public network, and we are referencing the VPCs that would get created when we run our Terraform code. So we've done all this previously. We've shown how to create a VPC network with Terraform, how to create a virtual machine with Terraform. So we are just applying it here. So let's copy this command, and the first thing we have to do is first create this file. So let me create this one from the editor. So when I go to my editor, I can double click on this folder, then create a new file. So there are different ways you can create your file. You can use the console, and you can just use the command line. So let's go to the new one that we created, and let's grab the command here. And here we are. So it should also get saved automatically. So, and the image of this virtual machine, we are using a Debian 11. I think the previous one to use is a Debian 11. So, and we used some firewall tags there, allow SSH, allow MySQL. So all these things would be clear if you'd do a refresher of the previous videos under this series. So that's about that. And the next thing we are going to do is we'll also create a firewall rule to allow communication to our MySQL server from the public network. So we'll just add this following configuration. We'll add it to our firewall rule private file, because now what we are doing is that we want to allow communication to the MySQL server from the public network. And if you take a look at this command, it's just we configuring additional firewall rule, and we would also list the network that we are configuring this firewall rule on. So we are configuring it on the private VPC name. So this is just about that. Copy this, and let's go to the VPC firewall rule private. So under VPC firewall rule private, we'll just add this to the end, and it should also get saved automatically. So what we are doing here, we are allowing the MySQL only from the public subnet. So you can take a look at the VPC firewall public that we had before, and take a look at the things going on here. So this is regarding that, and after that, let's keep following the instruction. So we are done with some of the things that we need to do under on the first task, which is creating client and server virtual machine. So as usual, let's initialize Terraform. After initializing Terraform, then we would plan our Terraform, and after planning, then we can apply it. So let's do it one by one. So let's go back to our Cloud Shell, then run the Terraform init. So it's initializing Terraform for us. Let me grab this up a little bit. Then after that, Terraform plan. So this Terraform plan will show us the amount of resources that are going to get created when we run our Terraform approve command. So this is a good place to see if anything is getting created that you don't want it to get created. So you can see that it's quite a whole lot here. So these are just some of the things that we'll be creating. We'll create a Google Compute Firewall private allow network MySQL. We'll create the Google Compute Firewall private allow ping. So we'll do for the Google Compute Firewall private allow RDP. We'll do for the allow SSH, allow ping, compute firewall, allow RDP, compute firewall, allow SSH, compute firewall. We'll do for the compute instance MySQL client. We'll do for the compute instance MySQL server. We'll do for the compute instance private test server Linux. We'll do for the instance test server Linux again. And there are a bunch of them here. So we'll do for the private VPC. We'll do for the public VPC. We'll also create the private public peering. We'll create the public private peering. So these are like all the resources that we'll create, and you can check them here to see the amount of resources that we want to create. So this is also what we want to create. So the next thing we'll do is the Terraform apply. Then we'll add the auto approve flag. So why we are adding the auto approve flag is that so that we are not prompted to approve after each resources, because if you do not add the auto approve flag, when you create the first resources, it will prompt you to say yes again. Then you'll be saying yes for each and every one of them. So let me confirm my command here. Auto approve, and I can click on enter. So in this case, it will just create everything for me, and you can check out the logs here. You see that it's going to create the 18 resources that are shown in the Terraform plan. So it's creating each of them one by one, and the logs would be updating as soon as the creations are complete. Yes, so our resources has been successfully created, and you can see 18 resources added, 0 changed, 0 destroyed. So if you want to take a look at some of the resources that I've added, so we should see some new VPC network here. We can just refresh this, and you can see we have our private VPC, we have our public VPC here. So if you go to the firewall rules, you'd see some firewall rules here also. So the firewall rules that we added, the one for the private, and the one for the public. So that's regarding that. We can also take a look at the virtual machines, and we should have some virtual machines that have been created for us under compute engine, virtual machines. Let's go to our instances. So under our instances, you can see that we have some virtual machines that have been created for us. The MySQL client, the MySQL server, the private test server Linux, and the public test server Linux. So these are like really what we want for this lab, and I think we are good to go at the moment. So you can see that Terraform just help us automate the creation of a whole lot of resources in just by using configuration files. So imagine that we are just creating all these things manually. It could take a lot of time compared to just using some codes, and you can always reuse the code to create some other resources also. Yeah, so that's regarding that. Let's keep following the instruction. So let's check our progress here, and our progress is complete. So for task 2, we want to administer your database server, and to administer our database server, we have to first take note of our internal IP address of our MySQL server. So this is the internal IP address of our MySQL server here. So if you look at this, our MySQL server, we have the internal IP, and yes, they have told us that the internal IP it should be 10.222. So the one that we are going to use is this one. This is our MySQL server, and this is the internal IP address 10.2.2.3. So we can just take note of it, and we'll use it when we need it. 10.2.2.3. Yeah. So but let's keep following the instruction. So the first thing we want to do is let's SSH into our virtual machine. Let's SSH into that server. So this is the one we're SSHing into, and it is the server, not the client. So SSH into it. And after we SSH into it, so you can read this note. So they are telling us that at this point you need to install MySQL on the server, but because the server has no external IP address. So if you take a look at this server, let's take a look at this server here. You can see that there's no external IP address on the server. So that means we have to do some things before the server can actually talk to the internet. So because the server has no external IP address, it also has no access to the internet, and we can't run the command to install the MySQL file. But to do that, to enable access to the internet, we have to fix that by adding a NAT using the Google Cloud NAT service. So, and the NAT will just help us to make the server talk to the internet. So let's try it, and we shouldn't be successful at this time because we've not configured the NAT. So just run this command here, and you can see that we get set to manually installed, 0 upgraded, 0 new installed. So it shows that like nothing worked there. So all the things that we attempted to do did not actually work, and that's regarding that. So let's just add a NAT to our file. After adding a NAT to our file, then we'll try it once again. So the next thing we'll do is we'll return back to our Cloud Shell editor, and under our folder, under the folder that we have, we'll add a NAT file, and the NAT file, we'll name it cloud-nat.tf. So it's also a Terraform configuration file, and let's create the file using our Cloud Shell. So just by using the popular Linux command. Yeah, so we should have a new file named cloud-nat-tf in our cloud editor. So this is it here. You can click into it, and after clicking into it, let's grab this command. So this command is it's a NAT file that would allow us to have internet access, to allow us have internet connection to that particular server. So copy this here and paste it here. And if you take a look at the command, it would also point to the particular virtual machine that we are creating it for. So if you look at the virtual machine is called MySQL server, and the NAT file would point to it because it is still that private NAT that we are configuring, and this is like the network here. This is the network that leads to that. Okay, so we are good to go. We can just leave it like this. Then the next thing is that we've updated the Terraform configuration. Would also initialize or replan our Terraform. We don't need to necessarily initialize again, so we can just jump to Terraform plan and run your command. So you would see the new thing that we are going to that is really getting added. So what it's telling us that it's planning to add 2 new resources, and the 2 new resources that it's doing is the NAT file and the compute router NAT.private NAT that we are creating, which is from the code that we just added here. And yeah, that's regarding that. So the next thing we'll just do is Terraform app, Terraform. Let me confirm the command. So we'll use the Terraform apply auto approve. So Terraform is going to create those 2 additional resources that it showed in the planned phase that it's going to create. And if you take a look at the logs here, you'd notice that those are the 2 that is going to get created. So this first one and this second one. So let's see when it is done before we move to the next step. So this is still the same thing. This one is still the same thing. This 1, 2, 3 logs is still the same thing. It was just showing different steps till it got created finish, and the second one is getting created. So it will show also different step, and now it's done. So that's regarding that. And let's see if we can access the NAT that we just created under Cloud NAT. So this is the NAT that we created, the private NAT here. Yeah, so that's regarding that. Let's keep navigating. So we'll go back to our virtual machine and run this command now. So on the virtual machine we are going to is the one representing this server. So we want to install MySQL on that server. So come back to the virtual machine here, then paste this command. And you can see that it's installing the necessary things that we would need. So still installing it. And I'll just fast forward this and see at the end. Yeah, so welcome back, and the process has successfully completed. So the next thing we want to do is we can ensure that the MySQL-MariaDB is running. So to do that, to check that, we'll use the sudo systemctl, the status, and the MySQL. So let's see if it's actually running. And we can see that it's actually running, so it has an active state and is running here. So we can exit this by just using Q. So when you press Q, you exit that. And the next thing we want to do is let's create a password for the root user. So let's create a password for the root user. So let me use a new password, and I'm going to name it password. Yes. So the password, I'm using password. So I'll just press yes for everything here, and we are done. So I use password as my password. So that's for that. So the next thing I want to do is let's log into the database using the root account with the following command. And let's log into our database. So it's prompt us to enter our password. I'll enter the password. And now I'm inside my MariaDB database, and you can see the welcome message here. So the next thing we want to do is we need a new user account to log in from the client machine. Now we are on the server machine, but we need a new user to log in from the client machine. And to create this new user on the server machine, we'll just be using some pretty much SQL related command, which is would create user, and the user will be named dbhops with the password. So the password of this user is password. Everything is small letter, and we can just use this command to create it, and just paste it here on our MySQL, then click on enter. So you can see the query is okay, and it's actually run the query. So after that, you can exit our MariaDB for now, and we've exited our MariaDB, and now we are back on the virtual machines directly on the server, which is the virtual machine directly here. So that's regarding that. So the next thing we want to do is by default the database server only listing to connections on the local machine. So we can do a quick fix to the configuration that will change that. So we want the database to listen to other connections outside the local machine. So to do that, we'll just would enter into would use our nano text editor to edit this file. After we edit the file, then we'd comment would comment out this particular thing so that it can listen to other connection outside the local machine. So let's just run this sudo command. So then just navigate to where the bind is, and then let's add a comment here. So after that, we can do our Control X, then Y to show yes, then enter. So we've edited the nano file, and we've saved the updated command. So the next thing we want to do is let's restart our database, and let's see. So let's restart our database. So restart our MariaDB, and then we've restarted it. And the next thing we'll do is let's check our progress if we've successfully administered our database server. Yeah, so it looks like we've successfully administered our database server, and we can now jump over to task 3. So task 3 is to connect to the database from a client. So let's connect to this database server that we administered from a client, and to do that, we'll go to the client machine. That's the client virtual machine, the one we have previously. So let's go to our compute network, our compute engine under our virtual machine, and we are here. So this is the client now. So let's SSH into the client. So after SSH in the client, then we'll run this command to complete the installation of our MySQL client on this new virtual machine. So authorize this. So it's doing the necessary connection, and here is our virtual machine, which is representing the client here. So let's install the necessary packages. So you can see it's setting it up, and then it shouldn't take long for this to get created. Yes, so we've successfully installed the necessary configurations here. So you may be wondering why mine is a little bit small. That was because I refreshed my browser at the moment, and that was why I truncated it like this. So it took a while, and I just fast forward it, and here I am. So the next thing we want to do is let's connect to our database using the following command. So I don't forget the internal IP address of our database. We have to use it here when connecting to our database. Okay, so this is our client. We want to connect to the server database, and we have to copy the internal IP address of our server, which is this 10.2.2.3. So let's grab it here and come here. So we'll replace the server IP with that. And after that, let's strike on enter. So, and you can see that now we've been able to connect into our server from here. So that's good to go. So the next thing we can do is we can list the MariaDB prompts from here, and this is our MariaDB prompts. So there's some things that we can see here, and then the next thing we can do is we can decide to exit the database now, because what we actually want to see has been done, because we've been able to connect to the DB from a client. So the DB that we created on our server, we were able to connect it from the client account using the Bastion host. So that's pretty much it for now, and yeah, so I think we are good to go. So you can just run some commands that you want to see here. So let's say you can do some /c. So these are just some pretty much MariaDB commands, and yeah, sounds fine. So let's exit our MariaDB at the moment, and now we are back on the virtual machines. So that's typically how we want to do. See that there's no database. So at this point, there's no database. So there's nothing else to do, but you have a complete solution in place. So your database server is in a secure network with no public access, but we have a Linux machine in the public network that we can use to administer the database and connect to the machine using MySQL-MariaDB client software. And that is what we've shown. So let's check our progress. And our progress is also complete. So let's close out the SSH sessions. Then we can now destroy all the Terraform configurations that we created. This is just little house cleaning that we can do on our Google Cloud resources. So let's close out from the SSH shells that we open, and we can go back to our Cloud shell from here and destroy all the Terraform configurations files that we've done. So if we destroy it, you notice that all the one is there, and those VPC network, firewall, the NATs, everything are going to get destroyed. So let's run our command, and it's going to destroy everything for us. Yeah, so while it's destroying that, and high level overview of what we've done is that we provisioned a Linux machine in a private network to act as the database server. After that, we created a virtual machine that we can use as a bastion host to connect to the database server as an administrator. We also configured the database server for remote connections and added a user account. And finally, we installed the MySQL client software to connect to the database server from a client machine. So that's pretty much it. And our resources are still getting deleted, so we can just see them. So let me refresh this thing at intervals and see if some of them are out. So you can see that they are moving out, they are reducing. So we are left with this here. So but when everything is complete, all the resources that we've created would have been destroyed. And then that's all for this lab. So if you enjoyed this lab, thanks very much for staying up with me till the end of this lab. So if you enjoyed this lab, make sure you give it a like. Make sure you also subscribe to my channel and share your thoughts in the comment section. Let me know what you think about this lab, and let me know what other lab you want me to work on. And that's pretty much for it on networking for secure database connectivity. So to have a more rounded knowledge of what we did during this particular series, take a look at the videos from the beginning, and combining the knowledge from all the videos would help have a all-round approach on how to have a network for secure database connectivity. Bye for now. See you in the next lab.